Hello everyone, today I'm here with, well, you cannot see him, but Arne Huschenbeth is here with me. How's it going?
How's it going? Looking forward to doing this little review of this sweet MPL gameplay with you.
Yeah, did you watch it when it was live, or did you have to watch it afterwards?
I watched it like in the background on my second screen, and I realized, like, first of all, what an intricate matchup it was. So that's what I realized, but I didn't really go that much into depth when I watched it live. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was super tired when I was watching it, but first of all, I like the matchup itself is super interesting, right? Like, first of all, it's like two decks that we don't really get to see that much lately. Well, the Izzet deck is the first time we get to see it at all, but you know, even the cycling deck wasn't that popular lately. And it's just like a very interesting matchup. We're gonna watch game 2. It was a super drawn out long game with like a lot of decisions. I think that there are a lot of spots where the players could have played differently, and you know, I don't think I would maybe necessarily catch all the potential plays. So it's nice that I can talk to you today, and we can maybe talk about the reasons why people did what they did and etc. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks sweet. We can also maybe talk about Ken's deck for a second, because This is a really unusual deck, right? I mean, now we have the format already switching to like more cards. We have Strixhaven coming out, so this is unfortunately it's outdated, but still Ken Yukuhiro coming at us with a complete deck that I've never seen before again. Like, just such a brewing master.
Do you actually think the deck is good?
I don't know. It looks sweet. I mean, I don't know how he played actually. But I mean, it's also funny that it's very similar, right? Those two decks are very, very close to each other. And we see Ken having Fairy Vandal and Neutralize, and the Teferis, of course, and some Bone Crushers, instead of Ray Sato playing like the Fox, the Pyromancer, not the Pyromancer. Yeah, the Pyromancer they both play, the Rescue onto, and the Xenoflare, of course.
Like on the,
it's like almost a mirror, but not really. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, on the first glance, the blue-red deck just like seems like a worse version of cycling, right? You just like lose Zenith Flare. But it's possible that in this like specific matchup, maybe that gives Ken the advantage, because like his spells might line up better against what Ray is doing, but maybe he like loses some points in the other matchups. Like, I'm not really sure. But as you're saying, the decks are very similar actually.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, the mana is obviously also a reason, but I guess not much of a reason. Well, I don't know. Let's get into the game.
Yeah. I think I actually talked to Ken when I was living in Japan a little bit, and he said that, you know, one of the reasons why he plays these different decks is that, like, usually when he plays them, he doesn't think that they're, like, that much worse than the tier 1 decks, but just, like, playing something new means that people play worse against you. So overall, he thinks it gives him, like, a better win percentage than playing something stock. So...
Makes sense.
All right, let's get into the games. This is how the players sideboarded. Maybe
both having 2 free red cap melees. That's interesting.
Yeah, like red cap melee is obviously not a card you put into your sideboard for, like, you know, this matchup, but it's obviously good at killing the 0-4. So I don't wanna like mess up here. Let's see.
You can. Yeah.
Yeah, I went too fast. Well, that's fine. Like, we can just go from here.
Yeah.
So obviously at the beginning there are not that many decisions. If you see anything that you wanna specifically talk about, you can obviously say. But
No. Yeah. I'll do that.
Yeah, so Ray didn't hit a land drop, so that's unfortunate for him.
Ray definitely seems excited. Maybe listening to music, who knows?
Yeah, so like the first couple turns are obviously forced. Ray was trying to hit land drops, and Ken just went 1-2 into the 0-4. No real decisions until now.
Yeah. Yeah, red cap melee looking fantastic. I haven't played this matchup ever, but yeah, it seems to be an important card.
Yeah. Yeah, so once again, he just cycled to hit his land drop and was forced to kill the 0-4, so no real decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, so can play Teferi. Obviously better than just like cycling and not doing anything.
Yeah, having Teferi on board seems dope.
The problem with Teferi is that it doesn't actually like do that much.
I mean, it just keeps your engine going, and it
By the
can
way,
help
by the
you.
way, what do you think about these? Like, which cycling card you should like use first?
I mean, we can pause for a second, I guess,
Sure.
and talk about that. It always depends on the situation, I suppose. I would give the credit to these players to know which one.
Well, in this case, the making a creature of 4/4 might matter against this bundle, right? So it probably makes sense that he did what he did. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably not that interesting.
So, okay, this seems to be a really good turn. I would just play Pyromancer, I think, and kill the flyer and then attack the Teferi.
Yeah, that's like the obvious play, right? Is there like any reason to not do that? Even if Ken draws card with Teferi, you have to draw 2 cards to turn 2. Oh, he didn't do that.
Whoa.
Like, are we missing something? Maybe he just like didn't realize that he can pump Teferi and he like wanted to like shoot the Teferi down instead of killing the Wandle, but that just seems kinda...
Yeah,
or he just wanted to make like use the +4/+4 thing and then play the free one. Is that maybe better? I would just think that having Pyromancer in play would be better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the use of your mana is just so much more efficient, and you're also getting a 1/1 from the alliance.
Like maybe he thought that, you know, it's like a good use of what?
I think. Oh my god, I don't know what's going on here. I think it's just a punt. It looks to be. I don't want to like, but
yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he messed up. Oh, he wants to kill. No, he can't kill the Teferi.
Well, maybe now he like feels stupid about attacking first, and that's why. Yeah. Okay. He oops. Yeah. So Ray lost the 1/1, and there is additional counter on the Teferi for no reason. I didn't even notice that when I was watching. Like I wasn't paying that much of attention to it, but that seems like a pretty bad punt. Maybe he just like assumed that he's not going to block because of the 4/4 thing or something. But you know, if your play is like to do this anyway, then you should just like do that before you attack, right?
Yeah, it seemed like the obvious best play. You develop your board, you kill your opponent's flyer. That is huge.
I should probably move myself to the left. Okay.
I mean, yeah, we'll see if that fairy token that could mean extra damage at some point or an extra blocker. We can look back at this game and at the end of the game and then see if this.
What it can do with his Teferi? I wasn't paying attention. Let's just rewind a little bit. So 50. Okay. Let's just rewind here. It's always an interesting decision what to do with the loot, and we just like kind of talked over it, so I just wanted to go back a little bit.
Okay. I mean, he could have phased out the Pyromancer in response to the cycling.
Oh wait, he could have just done that, right? Okay, wait, are we just stupid?
Oh, so you think that's why? So
okay, let's go back again. Maybe we're both just idiots.
No, yeah, okay. I mean, you can go back to the beginning of now stop. I mean, or just stop here.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
so what happens if Ray just plays the Pyromancer and cycles to try to kill the Wandle? He can phase it out in response, and then you can.
I mean, I think that's great for Ray. Then he's just going to attack the Teferi and kill it.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's still a line I would take because the phasing out. I mean, yeah, the flyer survives, but.
But why did Ken not? Oh, I see.
Phase it. Yeah.
Maybe okay. He just thinks that Teferi is more valuable than the Wandle. That makes sense, right?
It should make sense, yeah.
Yeah, so both players probably. Yeah, Ray should have done it pre-combat, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Ray lost the creature there, essentially. Well, we'll see if this comes up. Maybe one damage.
Well, the
can
game ends up being super close, so I think it would probably mean that Ray would win the game, but that doesn't really matter anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's focus on the loot. So obviously Ken has to kill the 0-4, that's like no question. So he plays the bundle first because he wants to loot. Okay, so I guess you just discard one of the cycling cards. He discarded the red one over the blue one. What do you think about that? Like, why would you keep make a 4/4 over go for a blood when you have like a big creature in play that can potentially like shoot down the free one or something?
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I agree with you here. I think you should keep Go for Blood, but maybe I'm not seeing something. I mean, the development can protect your creature.
Yeah, like the problem is that like the burn spells from Ray is like Zenith Flare and Redcap melees, right? So it just doesn't actually protect. Like, I guess it can protect the creature from the Pyromancer that deals free, but overall it just seems like Go for Blood would be better. But
I agree. To be fair, he is probably going to cycle the development plus the Teferi to add another counter on the Fairy Vandal anyways. But yeah, I think I agree with you there.
Okay, so Ray has another decision point here. Let's just stop. Like, what would you, before we see what he does, like what would you do here? Because the problem is that, the obvious line is to just play Pyromancer, cycle, and kill the Wandle, but the problem is that if Ken has another cycling card, he can use the Fairy and cycle to make it 4 toughness, and then you don't kill it. But maybe you just kind of have to hope that it's going to like work out, like,
I mean, what I would do, I think it's too likely that Ken has like a cycling card. I would just probably attack with the 2 fairies on the Teferi, and then if Ken decides to block with the Fairy Vandal, then I'll play my Pyromancer and shoot it down. And if he does not decide to block, then you have a Teferi on free loyalty, a Pyromancer in hand. And I would probably still play the Pyromancer and shoot on the Teferi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. That's like my first intuition, but I'm not like sure. But
yeah, that's how I would do it. Let's see what Ray does.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he ends up shooting to the 2/3, if I remember correctly when I was watching. So that's why I actually wanted you to say what you would do before he does that, because I think he does something different. But once again, I don't really agree with that.
Yeah, that seems very risky. I mean, I don't know how many 1-mana cyclers Ken plays, but it's a lot, right?
Well, I think he plays 8. I think he plays development and go for the plot. But one thing that's important here, it's not only about how many does he play. You have to realize that he actually chose to discard one of his cycling cards on his turn, right?
Yeah.
So that makes it like super more likely that he has another one, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you would probably, if you have a Wandle in play and Ray's deck has like 4 Pyromancers, you're like, what hand would you need to have to not like keep that cycling card, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So he's probably like 95% to have it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if I like this too much. Like, what is his plan? We'll see. I don't know what he's going to do, but yeah, I would have attacked first, I think.
Yeah, me too. Like, obviously, if you're gonna shoot the Wandle, then obviously it's better to do it before attack, right? Because like, I don't know.
Yeah.
If you think he doesn't have a cycling card, then it's obviously better because you don't lose your token. But as we said, that's like, he probably plays even more than 8. I forgot about the draw 4 card. So he probably has like 12 cycling cards for 1.
Yeah, at the very least, yeah.
I mean, yeah, as you see now, Ray probably kind of realized that, this is not working out the way he wanted to. Because now if he shoots the 2/3, Ken can just cycle and not block. So you basically like lost that free damage, right? If you attack first, then you can either kill the Wandle, and if he doesn't block, then you can shoot somewhere different. So not really working out for him so far. Yeah, now it's just like, yeah, the Teferi could have been at 1 instead of it being at 4, which is super important because of the phase out ability, right?
I mean, again, Teferi could have phased out there in response to the cycling. So it was on 5 before. So if you attack first, they block. Then you play Pyromancer, then you.
No,
cycle,
they didn't can use the cycle. I guess he drew in response to the Pyromancer, right?
Yeah, it's interesting.
That makes sense.
So Ken drew a Pyromancer after activating Teferi, so can't shoot right now.
Yeah.
I couldn't shoot in this turn.
So this turn, what do you do this turn? Like now you obviously have to shoot Teferi, right? Like you cannot really shoot anything else. So that's easy.
Yeah. I probably just do that and then deploy the alliance.
Yeah, so like losing that token in the beginning is like super costly here, right?
Yeah. I like this play.
What do you think about like Ken using Teferi at this point? Like, do you maybe think that potentially it was better to do it on upkeep so that, you know, if Ray happens to like top deck red get melee or you know, like a cycling card that he can cycling into response to draw into red get melee. Like basically he gave him like more time to draw the red get melee. Like we know that he had it already, but like if you know that you're gonna use Teferi to kill the 1/1 flyer, isn't it just better to do it on upkeep?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would just. But he has a negate in his hand, so in that case, do you have to do it in the upkeep, right? Because you have a protection spell open. Maybe you just don't want to give that information away yet. I mean, it's
like
it's
what I'm saying is that like if you know for sure that you're gonna activate Teferi and kill the 1/1 flyer, like why wouldn't you do it on upkeep? Maybe like you're not sure whether he's like actually going to attack with those creatures because you can just eat one, so it's maybe better to wait because then he can just like play a free one and you can shoot the free one or something.
Yeah, I kind of agree. You could just do it in the upkeep. I mean, there's not much reason.
It's like a small thing, but you know,
Yeah.
we're talking about MPL here, so like we should like be talking about stuff like that as well. So I just wanted to point it out.
Yeah, it's good.
So yeah, Ken obviously like he doesn't necessarily want to use his negates because he wants to keep them for Zenith flares, but obviously the Pyromancer is too important, so he's kind of forced to negate it. Discarded the 1 bill because he can just draw 4 with the 6/1 card, so like you know those plays were pretty obvious. And now Ray deploys the Alliance, which is obviously better than playing the free one because that can just die to the 0/4. So Ken has a decision here whether he could have like looted before drawing 4, but you know he's most likely he's just gonna keep that card, and you know it's obviously better to loot after you draw 4 so that you can discard like an excessive land or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's just killing a fairy, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, also, so like a couple moments ago, it just like seemed that Ray is like in a driver's seat, even though he like made some potential mistakes. But now like Ken drew 4 and he's like the fairy and a huge flyer. You know, the game is like getting kind of close at this point.
Absolutely. Oh wow, that's a huge draw.
Yeah, that's a third one, right?
Yeah, he has them coming. Flat rate. So what do? You can kill the 5/6. Yeah, killing the 5/6 seems best, right? And then you attack.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really like shooting this Teferi. Then you kind of like lose your second lightning bolt because you're just like shooting to the head, which doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, just stop for a second.
Yeah, that was pretty bad, I think.
Yeah, you can kill the 5/6 and attack. I mean, the Teferi doesn't die, but
But you don't really like care that much. Like the only reason why you would care is that like that's his draw engine, which like works well with the 0-4, but Ken's deck plays like so many cards that draw card anyway that it just seems better to kill the 5/6. Also like next turn it's gonna grow to 7 toughness, and then it's going to be even harder to kill it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ray was thinking that the 5/6 doesn't do anything against against all the fairy tokens. But hey, I mean, it seems to be the game for at least as far as I can tell. If you get rid of the 5/6, then each and every turn you will make 2 tokens, and those tokens will just grind Ken out in the air, right? So yeah.
Also like your 0-4s are like not going to die, right? Like there's no way that Ken's gonna kill both of them, and you're gonna attack the Teferi down, so you can just like very easily kill the Teferi on like one of the following turns. It's not like it's like a huge threat, but this was like the window to kill the 5/6. It's probably gonna be very difficult to kill it later. Not to mention that he lost the second lightning bolt. Like shooting Ken for free isn't really that valuable at this point, so I think he like made potentially a misstep again, but
Yeah, I feel so too. Is Ken going to cycle his boon?
he can also cycle the land. It would mean that he would not have a negate backup though. Which I'm actually not sure like how important that is, because like, you know, he wants to keep the negate for Zenith Flare for later, so, and you know, Zenith Flare is still not lethal at this point, so you don't necessarily need to have negate backup. I'm not really sure I would like to discard my draw 4, but
yeah, I'm skeptical about that play too, because like the Zenith Flare, as we can see in Ray's hand, it's just deal 8 right now, and Ken is in a comfortable 16. So he could have just tapped himself out and just used the Saga of Triumph, deploy another island. Next turn, you have 7 lands in play, potentially an 8th land drop, then you can cast your 6th drop and still have negate open.
yeah, I agree completely. Also, like this game, from what it seems like at this position, is probably gonna go, you know, on forever, right? Like you have these 2 alliances, you have negate for Zenith Flare, so you're not like going to die to that necessarily. So like from what it seems like, this game is gonna continue for like a very, very long time. I would really not want to discard my draw 4 if that's the case.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you play the Alliance? I would probably.
Yeah, I think so. Like it might be. Isn't it better to just like cycle the Triumph, or you just want to keep it so that you can shoot with the Pyromancers because you're not like sure that you're gonna draw additional draws? But it's probably better to keep it, right? Like you have 2 0-4s in Alliance. I would just play the. I think I would just play the Alliance. Like why do you want to keep your negate up? I guess protecting one of your 0-4s from a Zenith Flare might be something that's like important.
Is it? I mean,
like the problem with, I mean, I don't think it's like,
maybe, yeah.
I don't think it's like necessary for him to counter it, but he does have enough mana to play Alliance cycle and keep up negate next turn, and maybe he figured that it is better to you know, he doesn't need to do it, but it's still maybe better to do that rather than not. So if he thinks that he has enough mana for everything, then maybe it's better to keep it up. Like I agree with you, I would probably deploy the Alliance, but I'm not like 100% that it's wrong.
I can see that. Like looking at his hand, he has a 3 mana cycling card and 2/2 drops, and he has 7 lands in play. So his next turn is basically perfect mana already used, so he can play it safely and keep up the negate.
The problem with that is that like he's gonna draw a card for a turn, he's gonna cycle the Triumph, and also the Alliance has the 6 mana ability, right? So like you're pretty likely to like miss out on a spell if you don't deploy the Alliance. Like, you know, obviously it might not matter, but there are like many draws that would like lead to potentially like a worse board state or like a worse turn to punish you for not playing it. Like you might just not have enough mana to do everything if you do that. So I'm not sure about it.
Yeah, sure. It's yeah. Oh. Okay, so here Alliance into Cycle Rescuer, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And going face and just trying to race here. That's the game plan.
Yeah, he doesn't really have any other option, right? Like the lightning bolt doesn't kill anything, so obviously His only decision is this turn is like whether he cycles the 1 mana card or the 2 mana card. It's probably better to use the more expensive one because you can just like curve out better in one of the following turns.
Yeah. The Rescuer doesn't do anything against the Pyromancer, so yeah, just get rid of that.
Mm-hmm. Ken decided to not negate that Alliance, by the way, which I agree with. You just want to keep it for Zenith Flare, most likely, but it's definitely annoying threat. So as we can see, the fact that he didn't play Alliance last turn is quite costly this turn because he drew a very expensive card in the Fairy, and now he doesn't have the Alliance in play to just kind of do it all, right? Like ideally he would have it in play the Fairy and still have negate backup, but as it is, if he doesn't draw an untapped land, he cannot do that. So
ooh, that's a great draw.
Yeah, that's a really good draw. Yeah, so he's like missing out on a 1/1 and the fact that he would have the Alliance in play already for the following turns as well. So I actually think that it seemed that it's just not gonna matter that much, but it's gonna be very costly that he didn't play that turn.
Yeah.
So Ray is going for the head. Which I think it makes sense, but would you maybe kill the Teferi instead?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you probably don't have the time. Because, I mean, I agree. You just gotta go for the throat.
But you're not really like dying that fast, right? Because you have the charm blockers for the 7/8, and I don't know. I think Ken also like has to shoot some of your fairies with the 0/4, so you're not really in a danger of dying, especially with you drawing that Ryle. That's like another 3 points of life because Ken has to kill that. But I guess if you attack the fairy with everything, then he can just kill some of the fairies as he did, and then you're not going to kill it, but you also lost on the damage. So maybe it's better to just go for the throat, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he doesn't have time to kill the fairy. He just doesn't have time.
Exactly.
It's getting really close here.
Yeah, once again, Ken just drew a bunch of expensive cards, and he's getting very punished for not deploying that Alliance in one of the previous turns.
But I totally agree. But on the other hand, we also have Ray Sato, who maybe lost the 1/1 earlier in the match, and that cost him a lot of equity during this whole game, I think.
So now let's stop. Okay. So now what do you do if you're in a Ken seat? He's obviously deciding whether he wants to deploy Alliance before drawing the cards, right? Because on the first glance you obviously deploy it, right? Because you just make a 1/1 if you do that. The reason why he's thinking about that is that he can just he's gonna see a lot of cards, and maybe there are cards that he would rather play instead of the Alliance, something more impactful. I'm not necessarily sure what that would be. What do you think about that?
I would just go for Alliance. I mean, I of course have not played Ken's deck yet, but I can hardly imagine anything that's better, right? There's you want to have the negate open for the flare.
Yeah.
You need to. So is there any other 2-drop? I mean,
yeah, I agree. I agree with you. It's I think I would play the Alliance as well.
Yeah, you just play Alliance, then you activate the fairy, and then you see what happens.
Okay, so
okay,
sure.
So attack first, sure.
That doesn't really matter either way. Either way, you jump, right? 1/1 has to be better than 9 damage. What is Ken thinking about? Like, I don't really get it. Obviously, you use the fairy here, right? Like, you want to keep up the negate. Like, he's thinking whether you should cycle first, but you just want to keep up the negate, I think. Like, you're at 7, and you just dead to Zenith Flare, right? Like, I'm not really sure what he's thinking about.
Yeah, he might just be thinking about, like, what the game plan is and stuff like that. He might not...
Well, maybe what he was thinking about is that he didn't play a land yet, right? So, like, with a Ryle in play, he's gonna, like, see so many cards that he's, like, super likely to draw a land. And if you know for sure that you're gonna draw a land, then it is actually better to cycle first, because it gives you better options of what to discard to the Teferi. But I think the risk is too high, so that is why he used the Teferi first.
I agree, yeah. Good. Well concluded. Wow. Another pile.
I think that's the fourth one, right? Like, he drew all of them.
Yeah. Fire Prophecy, interesting.
Oh wait, like, I thought that Ryle and Teferi worked well together. Is that not the case?
I think they do. Look, he discarded a card and then he drew a card, right? So he discarded with Teferi and added another card to his hand. Yeah, they work well.
Oh, okay, sure, sorry.
He discarded a Startling Development.
Oh, okay, okay. He drew the same card, that's why I was confused.
Yeah. So what's Ray's play here? I think this is getting interesting. I guess we could pause again and talk about this.
So he doesn't have enough mana to do everything, right? Like, ideally he would play the 0-4 red kit melee and cycle Destroy him to kinda do it all. But he doesn't have enough mana to do that.
Yeah, he also has a lethal spell in its hand, so that's tempting to try to get in there.
But I think you put Ken on a negate at this point. Like, I'm not sure how many negates he plays, so maybe it's not like 100% that he has it, but you know, obviously it's definitely, you know, very possible that he has it. So
yeah, I mean, a pretty reckless play would be to red cap melee the 1/1 flyer and attack for 7. But then Ken can Teferi phase out a token, and if Ken does that, then I guess you have to cycle Triumph to create free blockers, but you actually might just die, very likely, honestly, if you do that. So it's way too reckless. Yeah. But it allows Ken to make a mistake, right? If Ken decides instead of phasing out, just Ken cycles.
I think I would give Ken enough credit that he's not gonna do that. I think that you like attack with all the creatures, and then probably play Pyromancer and cycle, right? Obviously, if Ken is like low, then you just kill him with the free damage, and if he's not, then you can just kill the Ryle with the free damage from Pyromancer and make free tokens to survive next turn, and you still have the lethal Zenith Flare in your hand. That seems the best line to me, but obviously I can see Ken's hand, so I'm like a little bit biased.
Yeah, I agree. It seems attack first, see what happens. If Ken does not shoot down your creatures first, then
that seems like the best line. I don't actually know what Ray ends up doing, so let's see. Maybe that's what ends up happening.
Yeah. I mean, again, if Ray would have had one more spirit here, then he would have won. So going back to that misplay earlier might have been decisive. Or it's just decisive, yeah.
Okay, so Ken uses the Teferi. Okay, so I don't. Okay, so Ray decides to use this red kit melee here so that Ken doesn't draw additional cards with the Ryle. But the problem with that is that it doesn't really leaves you with like. I guess you can just cycle and you make the tokens anyway. You don't necessarily have to play the Pyromancer. Like, I'm not really. Maybe Ken drawing additional card is more important than like you being more mana efficient with your mana. But I don't really know. I don't really like it that much. Yeah, I'm not
a fan. I would rather kill the Pyromancer. I don't know.
Well, isn't the Riley like super scary because not only like it's gonna drawing additional card this turn is like fine, but he can draw like infinite cards next turn, right? With it.
Let me just read the card again. I'm not 100%, but I thought it just whenever you discard one or more cards for the first time each turn, so it's just the first cycle that draws you an extra card. So Rael draws an extra card on each of his turns, basically.
But it's also 11-3, so it also like what Pyromancer does is that it shoots down the 1/1s, right? But the Rael does as well because it just attacks and you kind of have to block it.
Yeah, that is true. But at least the Pyromancer kills 2 tokens per turn, and the Rael just kills 1 token per each attack.
Also, like if you play the Pyromancer that like has to get shooten down, which means that that means like 2 additional fairies basically, and you're like more mana efficient. Maybe you like on one of the following turns you can go both like Red Kit melee on a blocker and Zenith Flare, whereas the way he did it now it kind of makes his hand a little bit awkward. But I wouldn't make this play, but I'm not 100% that it's wrong. So
I agree with your assessment. I also wouldn't make this play. I would just go for the line you described earlier with Psycho and Pyromancer. I think he wants to cast Zenith Flare. Like, look, Ken might tap himself out because I think that's what Ray is thinking. Can you stop for a second? I just want to add that in. I think I don't know what Ray is thinking, but I think, look at his mana base. He hasn't made land drops. And here, Ken might think that Ray doesn't have the red mana or the white mana to cast the Zenith Flare. So he might be tempted to tap himself out. Like, Ray wants Ken to tap mana here.
No, I understand him, right? I understand that, but like,
I think that's what he thinks, at least. That's my assessment of what he thinks.
Don't you just kill him with the Pyromancer though? Like what I'm saying is that like the right just like attack, right? He draws the card.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
No, I guess he can. I guess if you play the Pyromancer and then you cycle, Ken can just like at that point you don't have mana for Zenith Flare anymore, and he can just cycle again and shoot down your Pyromancer with those 2 Pyromancers, right? We didn't realize that.
Oh wow.
And that is really bad for you, actually.
Yeah, and now I also see. Oh my God, we're also bad. We're bad. We missed something.
Okay.
The Riel means that he draws a second card.
Yeah. Okay. Now this play makes complete sense. Okay, we're just both.
Yeah, he wants to bait him, and Ken doesn't take the bait. And look, if Ray would have had a 1-mana Cycler instead of the Triumph, he would win the game right here. Because I think Ken does not take the bait. Ken leaves up this negate, which is super smart because you also know that Ray already has 3 Pyromancers in the graveyard, so you'd rather play around the Flare instead of the Pyromancer.
It's kind of unfortunate for Ray for not having that
cheap Cycler.
Yeah.
What a game.
Yeah, and when I watched it, I was like, oh, this is a very good game. I want to review that, so that's why I chose it. Like, it's a very interesting game.
Oh, like, wow. Can Ken win here?
Huh.
Remove 2 blocker. You have the Prophecy. You kill a flyer. Then you kill another flyer. Shoot 3 face. That's down to 16 life. Your Fairy Vandal goes up to a 10 power creature. Then you face out a Fae. And then you cycle another card in your turn and you deal another 16. But he doesn't go for it.
Well, I think that if he played Fire Prophecy instead of the Starring Development, then he would have enough damage, right? Because you can just make your Wandal into a 4/4, and that gives it additional free power, right? Do you know what I mean?
So you think he played around Startling Development?
Okay, so I just gonna go back.
I think he had lethal there.
Yeah, I agree.
So he has to shoot once. Yeah.
Okay, so he decided to cycle this development, so he cannot do that anymore, right? But he drew a card with Teferi, right? So if he Fire Prophecy now and discards the negate,
No, you just.
I'm right? Like if
you can also do it this way. You can cycle it here and then go into your turn and then cast the prophecy. It's the same outcome.
No, it's not. Like you need to keep the development in your hand to pump this.
No, you don't need the development. You cycle here.
Okay.
You kill a blocker and then shoot 3 to the face. So it's 16. Then you untap, prophecy a blocker, draw another card, 6 damage to the face.
Okay, he's at 13.
Ray goes to 10, and Vandal 10 damage, and then you phase out a blocker, and then you can swing for the win.
But it's like super easy. Like, how did he not figure that out?
Well, if Ray has 2 cycling cards, 2 1-mana cycles, Ray will have 3 jump blockers, and he will lose the game.
Yeah.
So he's playing around, but he's also seeing that Ray just passed the turn. I don't know. It's very weird.
But like, can you beat just 2 1-mana cyclers here, making 3 additional tokens? Don't you just die to that anyway?
You probably die to that anyways, right? Yeah. So I think he had to go for it. Yeah. I mean, I think.
There were like both like multiple ways to win, but he played around like 2 1-mana cyclers. But those 2 1-mana cyclers are most likely to kill Ken anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. So. Like, I mean, absolutely. I mean, Ken should have gone for it. I think he just missed that. Like, it's easy to miss that, right? It's like you're playing this high stake games. But anyways, let's look at this. Okay, so he's removing a blocker. Well, will Ken survive this? Now he has to kill the fairies, right?
Well, he's gonna make 3 tokens, and he still has like the fairy to phase out and Fire Prophecy.
That is true.
So I think he has enough to survive.
That is true.
It's crazy, right? Like so much back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, Ken really needed those improbable lines off the top there to turn this game around.
It's crazy. It's crazy that he had the win there.
Yeah, that's crazy too. I mean, I love this though. Like keeping up the negate all the time. It's a beautiful game of Magic. Even with the slight mistakes. Okay. The triome again. That's.
Yeah. But like now, like Ray thinks that he kind of has like 2 cards that both win, right? The problem is that Ken has negate for Zenith Flare and he has the fairy against the Pyromancers, so like none of them actually work, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And he has exactly 5 blockers to like block all of your creatures. That's just like so crazy.
Yeah,
such a close game.
Maybe he gets another turn.
No, like Ken's gonna win this game.
But you can play Pyromance and Cycle, right? And then.
Well, then he just like phases. Well, if you cycle, then you can't play Zenith Flare anymore. So like you can just get screwed by any draw spell from Ken's side to just like shoot down your Pyromancer. And if he doesn't have it, you can just like phase out your I mean, obviously you still play it, but cycling here doesn't actually accomplish that much, right? Like
you get free blockers.
I mean, you still do it, but like it's not gonna work out the way you want.
Well, you can also hope to that Ken taps himself out, but he's probably not going to do that. Ray is also under the rope here. The rope is really pressuring him.
Yeah, like we're saying that the players made mistakes and stuff, but we can actually like think about it, right? Like we are not under the pressure and there's like no rope, we can just pause it. But obviously, when you're under the rope, it's sometimes hard to make the right decision.
Oh, absolutely. I made some misplays today on stream where, the rope was definitely very detrimental to your play. Yeah, Ken's deck is firing on all cylinders now. Look at this.
So now that both players have Alliance, Ken is always going to have the same amount of tokens as Ray, so he can start shooting Ray down to maybe play around like a second Zenith Flare or something. Like he just needs to kill him. Just because he has one negate doesn't mean that he will be able to survive infinitely. So he needs to get this game over.
Yeah.
Also, he's forcing Ray to jump every turn with this huge flyer, which means that eventually he can have like one extra fairy or something to like deal that one additional damage, which means that those 6 points a turn actually gonna kill Ray a little bit faster. So on upkeep, BC of Fire Prophecy. Obviously, do it on upkeep. Always better to do that.
Well, Ray almost winning this. Like, the triumph is important, right? Because.
But you don't really care about this triumph here, right? It's like the first card that he's drawing on the turn.
Ah, true. So it doesn't really do anything. You're right. You're totally right. It does not do anything.
Like, it's only dangerous if Ray had like another cycling card in his hand, and from the triumph he draws another cycling card. So like if he lets the triumph resolve, then Ray can go like cycling, and then Ken tries to kill it, and then he like cycles again. So that's the danger of it. But the triumph itself isn't actually dealing damage right now.
Yeah. So now you discard the melee, right? Because the triumph is just better for Ken.
I think so. But it's like more. I'm not sure.
Essentially do the same, right? I mean, I guess if Sato has a counter spell for the melee, or I mean a red cap melee for one of the pyromancer's response.
I'm trying to think if there's like any reason to not cycle. Like, it just seems that cycling gives you additional card, but it like does the same, right? In both ways, you just end up killing the 0-4.
Yeah,
I don't really understand.
You even get more tokens, which can be crucial to turn this game around a turn earlier. I mean, and you even have the negate in case something happens. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really get that. Obviously, it just seems crazy to discard the red cap melee against an 0-4 that you're like trying to kill. But in this case, I think it would be better. But
yeah, I mean, these players are under pressure. It's a huge, long, tense game.
yeah, so we're getting to a point where Ray kind of wants to fire the Zenith Flare. Not only that he's starting to lose this game, so he just might try to steal it. Also, he might like top deck another Zenith Flare, and then you can get like stuck with them in your hand and not be able to deploy them before you lose. So I guess it makes sense to play it. I don't really know why would you do that on your turn. I guess if you do it on Ken's turn, you give him like additional card with the Teferi.
Yeah.
To hit the negate, but like I think like Ken is like pretty likely to have the negate, and then you just give him additional 2 mana, which is like pretty bad with like all these alliances and Teferis, and like Ken has like many ways to use his mana, so obviously the 2 extra mana might very easily matter.
Yeah, that is true. I would probably do it in the upkeep too.
Mm-hmm.
But also, yeah, I mean, it's close.
Yeah, so Ken just needs to like his only fear here is another Zenith Flare, right? Like, he's not gonna lose to the board anymore. So for that reason, what do you actually do?
Just draw 4, I think.
Yeah, like obviously you need to hit a land to be able to play negate after that, but you're still more likely to hit a negate plus land from 4 cards than just like hitting 1 negate from 1 card, I guess.
But this really depends on the list. I think he only had 2 negates, and if he only has 2 negates, he might just cycle for 1 mana to find a neutralize.
Oh, he does play that as well. I forgot about that. I'm not sure if he kept it post board, but probably, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we should have paid more attention to when they were sideboarding, but
I think he boarded at least a number of them out. Maybe not. Maybe all of them. We haven't seen one in this entire game, which has come down to, I don't know.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't have 4 because it's like bad against all of Ray's deck besides the actual Zenith Flare, right? So
Yeah. It can be good against the Pyromancer in some spots, but usually it's bad. What a game.
What a game. Yeah, it's over now. Alright. Well, I thought that was an awesome game of Magic. Yeah, what do you think about it? What do you think about the game?
Wow, mind-blowing. Yeah, both players made mistakes, but I think in the end, it's so easy to say that from our position.
By the way, I've been told on Twitter that, you know, when you're making these kind of videos, you should be saying like maybe they could have played differently instead of like just saying that they made a mistake. So
you already learned from it. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe they could have played slightly differently, but I'm just trying to defend them too and say like this high pressure, high intensity, you're playing for so much money, right? I don't know where these people were in the standings, but it's so much on the line. And to make mistakes, I think it's part of the game. We're all humans, and makes me high intensity games with the rope on Ray's side too. So mistakes just happen, and then they did. Okay, that's it. That's about that.
It was awesome making the review with you today. Definitely better than if I was just doing it alone. So thanks for that.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. If you guys like the video, please click on the like and subscribe button, or you can even make a comment to tell me that I just missed the card and that's why the player did what he did or whatever. Anything is appreciated, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.